and I wondered why Nakobe Dean at linebacker, Zach Mack at cornerback, Kayvon Wallace at safety didn't get any reps. It is not a Mac attack today. Johnny Mack, usual partner, is winging his way down to Houston for this game the Eagles have to play. Shorty week. We'll be talking about extensively today. No, I got Triple B with me today. That would be Big Barrett Brooks filling in for
Morning, man. Morning. How's it going? Sometimes you got to bring in the righty. I'm the reliever, the righty. You know, he's on his way down, so I guess I got to fill in for Mac today, man.
I would say by size, you look more like Jose Alvarado coming out of that Philly fan. But he would be a lefty. We got the big righty in with us today, former Eagle offensive lineman Barrett Brooks. Short week. I know it's a red October. I just tweeted this out, and everybody is all Phillied up. And when you're not here with us on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, we know you're hanging over there at NBC Sports Philly, and their Philly coverage has been phenomenal after a win last night, 7-0 beat down.
Can you believe that, man? Come on, man. This is we're up 2-1. I mean, we're talking about a Cinderella story. I don't think so, man. I think this is more so this team finally belongs to be up there, man. We've been through a drought, 11 years. We've been through a drought, and to come out of it like this, I mean, there's nobody more hyped than Middleton. He spent a lot of money over the cap. He's killing that luxury cap. But this is why he does it. This is what he did. You know, he brought in some guys that feel good about playing for this team, man. And you could tell, man, they are loving each other. They're loving the fight. They're loving all this, man. So I won a championship before. So I know what they're going through. Being a 6th seed at that. We were the 6th seed when I was playing with the Steelers. We were the 6th seed. This team was the 3rd seed. They were third. They had to win their way to get past it, St. Louis, my team, my old team, and now they're in a position where they're 2 wins away from being world effing champions.
Yeah, your team were 6th seed, the last team to qualify for the playoffs. Now, as you say, just 2 games away from a championship. And it's special to be down at the ballpark. I've been there for a couple of games here in this playoff run and have tickets for tomorrow's game. That's right, Eagle fans. I'm going to be here on Friday morning. I'm going to be dog tired because I'm going to have to come home and watch the Eagle game quickly after I have it taped because I will be in Citizens Bank Park for game number 5 just in case they're going to win a championship. But we'll be on top of the Eagles, which is where we're starting today here on Birds 365. Thursday games. Now, Barrett, had Thursday games even begun by the time that you retired?
I'm trying to think back. Thursday game. I don't think they were a thing when I think I played in like one Thursday game because it was Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving game. There you go.
So I played in more than one. I played in a couple things because I played in Detroit for 2 years. So that was 2 years I had to play in a Thanksgiving game.
There you go.
And
so
4 years
you certainly understand what it's like to play on a short week.
Right.
We sit back, we talk about it. You guys actually have to do it. It is work. It is very difficult for the players on their bodies. They get into a routine. They know how much time they know how much rest time, recovery time after playing in an NFL game, which week in and week out, you have to have recovery time. They don't have this week, but neither team does. And that's what I think people overlook because they always look at it, their myopic view of how this is
our fishbowl.
The Eagles, they can't do it. Well, the Texans are doing the same thing.
Right.
So it's as difficult on both teams, slightly more difficult because the Eagles have to fly to Texas and the whole time it takes to get down there is a slight advantage for Texas. How tough is it on an NFL player's body to turn around, play on a Sunday, and then be ready to go again on Thursday?
I'll tell you what. You look at the Eagles organization; they're pros. They went about. They're coming out of a bye week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they had the bye week, so they kind of prepared for this Texans game. Also, with them playing against a bad Pittsburgh team, and now they're playing against a bad Texans team. I think they did a little bit of research on both teams and did both game plans over the bye week. The first week they did the Steelers. The second week they did the the first week they did the Texans as a unit, and then they turn around and the next week they did the Steelers. So they already had a game plan in which they want to attack this Texans team. You can't lose your stripes. And the stripes that this Texans team had, they're just a bad team. They're void of a lot of talent that you would, be able to really compete at a level that they should. So Davis Mills is the quarterback. He's young. This team traded away everything. DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt. They let a lot of people go. So they were in a rebuilding process. They understand this rebuilding process is going to be long and they put Lovie Smith in a bad position by him being the interim. Well, he started out the interim coach because they fired him. Then they hired him as the head coach. He has a lot of adversities that he has to deal with in this game. So I don't know, man. I mean, they got a disgruntled employee with Brandon Cooks. He's taking it with the media, and he's their best receiver. He's their best offensive weapon. They don't have anything besides that. I mean, Dameon Pierce, he's a rookie, but he's a player. But other than that, I don't know where you get any type of fight, man, especially with a short week. Like the Eagles are professionals. They understand that they're going into this week like this. This Texans team doesn't care. They just want this year to be over with.
They're professionals who are 7-0, the only undefeated team in the National Football League. And one of your colleagues at NBC Sports, Philly, wrote a good piece today about the Eagles fighting boredom. You would think that's never the case. That come on, you're getting paid to do that. You only play 17 games. It's something you can't say, oh, it happens to everybody in the National Football. It happens in every single sport. It's a grind. Every single day is a grind over the course of
no question
to get a season in. And you look up, you're 7-0. You're playing a team that's 1-5-1. You're not all that up to the task because it's a short week and your body says, I'm not ready to go a full 60 yet. There's every reason to think just a normal human being would be willing to just kind of throw it into neutral and cruise on this week. But he said he doubts it's going to happen to the Eagles for several reasons. Number one, the head coach. Number two, his coaching staff. And number three, maybe most importantly, the leaders of this football team. That between the veteran guys who've been there before, been there, done that, won a championship back in 2017, and a very motivated and outspoken quarterback, there's no chance for a letdown with this team this week, is there?
No, there's no way they do. There's no way they look past anybody. They understand that they have a quarterback, man. Their quarterback is one that he takes everything seriously. He talks like a coach. He carries himself like a coach. He's a combination of Saban, Lincoln Riley, his pops, all these guys that have very successful careers. He's kind of patterned himself after them as coaches. Don't eat the rat poison. Don't read the press clippings. Understand there's always work out there. You see the things that they did. They left a lot of money on the table. He's got all the cliches because he truly believes in this stuff. Now, who wrote the article you're talking about?
Dave Zingaro.
Dave did. But see, that's why I love Dave, man. But because on the postgame show this week, I said the same thing. I said it after the game. I said, man, that was good to watch a boring game. And and instantly Rube jumped on it. Oh, what do you mean a boring game? They had 4 plays of over 25 yards, 4 touchdowns over 25 yards. They did this. I said, I understand that, but they took care of business the way they were supposed to. And I kind of went through it with the Steelers the year before we won the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be an all Pennsylvania Super Bowl. It's supposed to be the Steelers and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Big Ben came in the second game. We lost that game. Tommy Maddox got hurt. Then we ran off 13 straight games. We won 13 straight games. And a lot of people were saying the same thing about that team. There was a lot of the times that they were fighting boredom because they knew that they were the best. We knew that we were the best team in the NFL, and we knew that every week we played against the best team in practice. Not on Sunday, but in practice. We played against that team. I knew that there was going to be nobody that's going to be harder to block than James Harrison and Joey Porter and Casey Hampton. Ben knew that there was going to be no safety that he could go against than Troy Polamalu. That, you know, I mean, even I thought Troy at that time was better than even Reed from Baltimore. You know, just looking at the offensive line, you know, we knew we were better than the teams we were playing. So that defense had great looks because we were so good. And we had a mindset that sometimes the coach would have to tell us, hey, guys, stop practicing so hard against each other, because we would just get caught up in the moment, knowing that our competitive nature would get the best of us, and practice so hard in practice that it seemed like the games were easy. You know, the games were just walking apart because we knew what we were. And I think this Eagles team knows who they are. You know,
right.
Think about what Fletcher Cox said. Fletcher said, hey, he told what's his name when he first got to the Eagles, Robert Quinn, we practice hard here. Well, this is the fruits of their labor. This is them practicing hard.
He can say that, but then the practices actually are had, and that double-digit guys are on rest, right? And they go out there for about an hour and a half when they got 2 hours. You can say it, but then you actually have to go. I don't know the comparison is as accurate as you're laying out there. The game has changed, and the way the NFL do business has changed from when you were playing. It's not that long ago, but there have been some significant changes. You mentioned on now the fact that it was a somewhat boring game because the Eagles put the game away and were able to not have their fans sweat or themselves sweat because they had a comfortable enough lead. And I got to give the nod to my usual partner, John McMullen, because he did ask the question in the session yesterday with Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator, about how they handled the end of that game on Sunday. You saw your area of expertise, offensive line. They got all the starters out of there. Yes. They pulled everybody except Dickerson at forward sub shoot. They were using Andre Dillard at the guard position. I don't know why, other than if they were thinking about trading, go, hey, you know, you could use them at guard too. But they did get their offensive guys off the field, including the quarterback, including Miles Sanders, including the wide receivers. They did give everybody a little bit of a break at the end of the game, which on a short week was absolutely the right thing to do and a smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
And smart. I questioned the other side of the ball. Yeah, they bring in defensive linemen in and out all the time. It's a rotational position. The two linebackers basically played every snap of the game. The two safeties played basically every snap of the game. The three corners played basically every snap of the game. And I wondered why Nakobe Dean at linebacker, Zach Mack at cornerback, Kayvon Wallace at safety didn't get any reps. If you're going to get your starters off the field to protect them and make it easier on them, give them rest for the next game on offense, why don't you turn around and do the same thing on defense? This is the question I posited here on Bird 365. So McMullen put it right to the man yesterday in the availability with the defensive coordinator. Did you see what he said?
No, I didn't.
He threw the coach under the bus. He put it on Sirianni. He said, well, we spoke about that with the head coach. And then he gave a completely BS answer. He said, well, we were kind of backed up when we were thinking about doing it or could have done it. They put the offensive subs out there first, Gardner Minshew and Pals, and they get the ball at the 10-yard line. You want to talk about being backed up? That's where the Eagles got the ball on offense, and they didn't bat an eye, put all their backups in at the 10-yard line. So Gardner runs an entire minute and something off the clock, 3 and punt, and they get it out to the 49-yard line. Sipos hits one basically to midfield. Oh, that's too backed up to put your defensive backups in the game? Because the other team's got the ball at the 49 with 7 minutes to go, down 22 points. Well, we didn't want to put them out because we were kind of backed up. You didn't even bat an eye about being backed up on offense. Yet you were too afraid to put Nakobe Dean or Zach Mack or the backup safety, Kayvon Wallace, into the game. Complete BS answer. Thank you, John McMullen, for asking that question. I don't know if it was an oversight. I don't know if they're that afraid of putting those three individuals because they had some injuries back there. Josiah Scott was out. They didn't have as many cornerbacks up as they usually do. But three specific guys I thought needed some run, specifically because they're still young and are getting their feet wet in the NFL. and any reps are good reps. I give John McMullen credit. He said that nothing more valuable than in-game reps, but they passed on giving them to them. Why do you think that was?
You know what? I don't know, actually. I mean,
neither do I. Thank you very much, Barrett Brooks.
I can't make any excuses up. I can't say anything. I know I would have. The guys in which he could have had in there probably need to work. You know, Kayvon Wallace is a guy that I think needs a lot of work. I saw the defense, the quality of the defense, you know, become very low grade when he did get in the game. You know, they didn't call the same aggressive nature. They weren't the same defense when he was in there. Rather it's by play calling. I don't know if it was play calling or just the nature of how C.J. Gardner-Johnson plays the game. I didn't see the same aggressive nature in that defense. So, I mean, that was actually a position I thought we need to kind of address if we were going to address any position during the trade deadline, is a compatible safety to come in and play at a high level. I don't think Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace are the two guys that, you know, if something does go down with them, could they come in and run the same defense? Could they have that type of aggressive nature? You know, so that means our safeties need to make sure that they are ready to play at all times, and they can't afford to get hurt. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps need to be relatively healthy for the entirety of the rest of the season, because those are two crucial points, and on which I don't think we have the depth to go into a game with those two starting. As for Nakobe Dean, they love him. I don't think it's an injury thing about it. I don't think it's about his shoulder or anything like that. I just don't feel as though they're ready. I don't think he's ready to play just yet, because he'd be playing a lot.
How much can you love him if you can't get him on the field when you're up 22 points in the fourth quarter?
Exactly. You know, him, even Kyron Johnson, you know, Patrick Johnson need to get a little burn. I know going into the bye week, Fletcher Cox and Hargraves played 60% of the snaps. And then, you know, you look at Milton Williams, a guy out there, you know, think should be playing a lot more. 30%. Marlon Tuipulotu, he was only playing like 30% of the reps. Even Jordan Davis was 30% of those reps.
30's not a bad number as compared to 0. And that's how many those other guys got on in the back seven.
I would have thought it would, yeah.
The front four, I don't think you can complain, and they have to reconfigure, and that's one of the things I would talk about with you, and we'll talk about Mike Gill when we punch him up here in a second, because Gannon did speak to that. He made it sound like Jordan Davis being out of the lineup is going to be a plug-and-play replacement, that they cross-train these guys, and that's why I don't necessarily buy that. Jordan Davis can do things that nobody else on this football team can do. But that wasn't the way, at least, Gannon was talking about it yesterday.
Marvin Wilson's a guy they may bring up. I thought he had a phenomenal camp. I thought he was one of the guys that competed to be a guy that's going to be on a 53-man roster. I thought he should have made the roster. He's on the practice squad right now. But he's somebody who can come in and fill that void very easily. He's that good of a player. So Marvin Wilson is a guy I say look out for, to play that nose right there, head up over the center position.
Okay. I'll be surprised if that's the case, if he gets called up and gets plugged in anywhere near the kind of numbers that Davis was getting. I just don't see it as a plug-and-play type thing. All right, as I mentioned, Mike Gill from 97.3, the Sports Bash down at Shore, ESPN Radio, is going to jump in with us. A little bit later, hour number 2, we're going to get John McMullen up, a longtime NFL writer, still doing it down in the Houston area, doing it for GallerySports.com these days. He's going to join us in the second hour. But coming up next here on Birds 365, our bud Mike Gill from down the shore gets in with Jody McDonald and Barrett Brooks today.